What is this?
I don't know. Looks like some sort of camera or telescope.
Is it an old-fashioned data projector?
Could be. It's got these slides with it too.
It's pretty tatty. And it weighs a ton.
I think they're of Aladdin.
Where does it come from?
I don't know. Wait a minute. There's a note on it. Magic lantern, handle with care.
Magic lantern? I've heard of magic lanterns. They're old slide projectors before film was invented. This will have been cutting-edge technology of its time.
Well, whoever it belongs to, should we give it a bit of a clean and a polish for when they come back to collect it? Good plan.
I am the genie of the magic lantern.
But you can't be. You're not old, and you're not beardy, and you look nothing like the genie in the slides.
Actually, I am a genie. I am 1,000 years old and I'm wearing extremely well. I may not look like your conventional run-off-the-mill genie, but that's because genies have been through a radical restructuring program recently. We're trying to appeal to a wider audience, more inclusive, more modern. We've rebranded. New logo, merch store.
But you're supposed to come out in a puff of smoke.
We've been instructed to think outside the lamp. The magic lantern suits me down to the ground, and it's far more spacious. Anyway, I can grant you 3 wishes. Take them or leave them. I haven't got all day. What would you like me to do? Well, come on.
Well, actually, we're in the middle of a history project right now about our school, Grasmere School. It's turning 400 years old this year, so maybe you could take us back to 1625 for a start.
Good children of Grasmere School, your wish is my command.
Hello, here we are at St Oswald's Church in Grasmere. In 1625, there is a record of 12 scholars being taught in the rectory.
By 1635, the first schoolhouse seems to have been in existence, as Anthony Dawson gave £7 to pay for the schoolmaster. The schoolmaster was teaching scholars at the schoolhouse by the churchyard gates.
So by 1635, the little schoolhouse already existed. Let's go and look at it. Here it is! For over 200 years, this was the school.
At first, it was just one floor. But in 1782, the school added an upstairs loft using part of an oak tree bought by the church.
They used 24 feet oak boards, 8.5 days of a carpenter, and 1,000 nails.
Who were the teachers?
We don't know them all, but here are some of their names. George Benison, Reverend Thomas Knott, Reverend Gowan Macarath, Thomas Davis, and John Coates.
Oh yes, we know about John Coates from our tourist who visited in 1806. And you join us live to talk exclusively with the tourist from 1806. Hello, please do tell us about your ramble to the lakes.
In my ramble to the lakes on Friday, June 27th, 1806, I passed several cots and had a deal of conversation with some of the lower class. He overtook a country boy going to school at Grasmere. On being asked his master's name, he said the boys call him John Coates.
And did you meet Mr. Coates?
Yes, this person on our arrival we saw in the churchyard near his miserable dwelling. He teaches his boys to knit, amongst other arts and sciences, but at the same time is neither deficient in sense or abilities. Poor fellow, but he seemed content.
Thank you. By 1810, the schoolmaster was William Johnson, who was nationally known as an educationalist.
Then, in 1856, James Airway was the first schoolmaster in the new school.
The new school?
Well, lots of kind people gave money to support the school from 1635 onwards. This is how they managed to pay for schoolmaster and for the repairs to the building.
The government didn't pay for education then.
In the mid-1800s, land and money was given by a Mr. Benson to build a new larger schoolroom, and the school left this little schoolhouse.
It became a cottage. Eventually Sarah Nelson lived here and made wonderful gingerbread.
Gingerbread is still made and sold here today.
And there you have it, the history of Grasmere School.
But that isn't all the history, is it? We need to know more. You didn't even cover the Victorians.
I'm sorry, but if you read our revised T's and C's, you will see that wishes only cover 150 years at a time. We've had to clamp down. Too many people were taking advantage. For too long, we were getting caught out by people wishing for everlasting wishes. Trying it on, it was exhausting. Next wish?
Well, I suppose it would be helpful if you could take us back to the 1800s, you know, around the time the school was built.
Good children of Grasmere School, your wish is my command.
Welcome back to the Genie channel, where you join us in the middle part of the Grasmere School, which is the original schoolroom built in 1854.
Can you imagine having 80 children in there?
Inside there were lots of old prize boards from the 1800s.
Here, the next bit to be built in 1862.
And by 1879, they needed even more room. So they built the final room and the schoolmaster's house.
There were 89 children in the senior school and 54 in the infants department. It was all quite squished.
All of these buildings were paid for by benefactors.
Then we've got a lot of evidence in Victorian times. So we have the logbooks from about 1856, and they are very detailed. They were a legal record, so the head teacher had to write in the logbook, had to write in about attendances. We've got the registers as well, so we know who attended, where they lived, why they left school, what age they were when they left school, what standard they got to. So we have got a lot of details from then. The head teacher at first was keeping minimal notes, but after 40 years or so, they had to keep quite detailed notes of what their scheme of work was. So in the late 1800s, we know what the scheme of work was. Before that, it was, they occasionally remembered to write down what object lessons they'd been doing. And it would say something like, object lessons on a lump of coal, the kitchen stove, and an ostrich, or whatever.
Actually, I'm feeling quite nervous today. After dinner, we shall be tested on our 12-time table. Last time we sat a test, Alfred Burke was caught cheating and was given 4 strokes of the cane and made to stand in the corner of the classroom for the rest of the afternoon. Alfred is always getting into trouble. I keep my distance. I must do well in this test. We stand to recite our times tables all together in class every week with Mr. Hayes. Mr. Hayes tells us that having a good grasp of our times tables will serve us well when it comes to understanding money. You see, there are 12 pennies in a shilling, 3 pennies in a threepenny bit, 2 threepenny bits in a sixpence, 2 sixpences in a shilling, and 5 shillings in a crown. I don't care for mental arithmetic though. I would sooner be drawing wild animals, collecting birds' eggs and observing nature upon the fells than reciting times tables. But above anything, the best part of my school day is break time. Nothing beats playing marbles in the yard with my best friends, George and Samuel.
21st of May 1900. The children were granted a half-day holiday this afternoon to celebrate the relief of Mafeking, which is now officially announced. 2nd of July 1900. The assistant mistress is away from school, attending the certificate examination this week. Therefore sent Standard 1 into the infant room, and the other standards I am using monitors for.
I've only recently started at Grasmere School, and this is my first school. When I arrived, I only knew a few letters that my little brother had shown me, and I could write my name. I could tell that the other children were laughing at me behind my back. But what do they know? I bet I can cook, clean and wash better than any of them, and look after the hens and mend a torn petticoat. But that's no good, and that's why I've ended up here, in the infants class. I think I'll be forming letters and sandboxes forever, and I don't want 5-year-old friends. It's not that I don't want to learn, it's just I want to be the same as everyone else. Mother says that if all I'm doing all day is playing with sand, she'll take me out of school because school's expensive and I'm more used to her at home. Maybe she's right.
There was a legal requirement to maintain a punishment book. We haven't got the punishment books. The records of the punishments seem to be within the log books. So if that is all the punishment that was happening, this school wasn't particularly draconian. There were canings.
See that? That's what 4 strokes of the cane looks like. Mr. Hayes gave me 2 strokes this morning for talking in class. When he heard me saying under my breath that it didn't hurt, he gave me 2 more. Harder, they hurt. I kept my mouth shut after that. School is just a boring waste of time. Reading, writing, arithmetic. Reciting soft poems and doing sewing. Sewing? Father says it's not right that he's paying good money for me to come to school and they're making me do girl sewing work. The best bit of school is when I'm kept off to help round the farm with haymaking or sheep shearing or something. Father's coming in after school to see Mr. Hayes. He's paying the final instalment towards the new thermometer after the old one fell off the classroom wall and got smashed into 16 pieces. I got the blame. Us Borricks always get the blame. But it wasn't me.
All the way through the 1850s and 60s and 70s, the head teacher is having a really hard time because they have so few resources and they don't have a piano. And then they borrow a piano. And then the secondary school, this senior school, borrows the piano from the infant school, and the poor infant school teacher is left without a piano to do drill and musical education. And then they bring the piano back, and this goes in and out. And you can just see how important it was, because how else did you involve any other form of sound for the children other than actually having your own physical piano?
I heard a man singing in the valley below. I'm practicing one of our choir songs. We have a choir trip planned to Blackpool next month, and so I want to be word perfect. I think I'm quick to learn new songs. We are very used to reciting and learning chapters from the Bible and prayers, the Creed and the Catechism, as well as poems by Milton, Shakespeare, and our very own Mr. William Wordsworth. Would you like to hear something we learnt last week? It is very important that children respect their elders. They must carry themselves in grace at all times, considering God and their fellow men in all things that they do. I can't quite believe we're going to Blackpool. Blackpool, on the train! Miss Burrow has shown us pictures of the newly built Blackpool Tower, which looks taller than anything I have ever seen. Possibly even taller than the Lion and the Lamb.
The school becomes free in the 1890s, but up until that point, people had to pay to send their children to school. There were a few scholarships paid for by people of the parish, and they were chosen children who would do well if they were paid for, but also children who had good attendance. A lot of children didn't have good attendance. They didn't have to pay if they didn't attend. So you do get children being off for the whole summer for haymaking or whatever, which made it very difficult for the head, who was trying to pay staff, knowing that you'd have these huge periods of time when your attendance was right down. And again, in the winter, they didn't have winter coats and things like we have today, so you would literally have only like 12 children in on a badly rainy day.
It's freezing cold in our classroom today. This morning, the ice must have been an inch thick on the inside of the windows. It made a beautiful pattern, mind. The children's teeth have been chattering all day. Whatever the weather, we are blessed to have such a beautiful school. I'm the first one in my family to go to school. My father died when I was 4, and so my older sister had to stay home to do chores and help Mother bring up the rest of us. There's 13 of us altogether. I'm the lucky one. The school manager granted me a scholarship here, and so I gained a free place. By the time I was 7, Mother said I could read and write better than her. The thing is, I love reading. And now, here I am, one of the eldest in the school and a pupil teacher. As a pupil teacher, I help the infants form their letters in the sandbox. I also have to take charge when the real teacher is called away. You could say I've worked my way through the ranks. I started off as an ink monitor, which meant I had to make sure all the ordered children's inkwells were filled every morning. I'm thinking that maybe one day I could become a real proper teacher. Now, that really would be something, wouldn't it? That really would make my mother proud. If I were a real teacher, the first thing I would do is put another log in that stove.
8th of February, no children present. 11th of February, no children present. 12th of February, no children present. 13th of February, 8 children present this morning. The weather is intensely cold and the snow is still going thick on the ground.
What with it being such a cold day today, Mr. Fuller gave us extra drill to keep us warm. We carry stakes across our shoulders like rifles and march in straight lines, following Mr. Fuller's drill orders. Last Waterloo Day, I was chosen to raise a flag on the field. If I could, I would raise that flag every day. I like to imagine I'm a military man, serving Her Majesty Queen Victoria, marching in one of those far-flung countries that form the British Empire, like India or Zanzibar, or any of those other many countries marked in red on the map on our classroom wall. Maybe I'll get to drive there in a motorcar like the one which drove through Grasmere last term. Mr. Fuller closed the school so we could all go and watch it pass through. Some of the girls thought it dirty and noisy and covered their ears as it passed us. I thought it was the most wondrous thing I have ever seen. Yes, I would like to travel, to see the world. I've already been to Windermere a few times on my bicycle.
The school educated children up to the age of 15. This only changed in 1960. Right then, that switch too completed. Back to the genie in the studio.
And there you have it, Victorian era done and dusted. And very interesting it was too. I must say, you lot seem to have it easy these days by comparison.
Thank you. Well, we certainly don't get the cane anymore.
Although we do learn on tablets, just no one's made of slate.
Really? Do tell more.
Would you like us to tell about our world? Is that your wish?
Well, yes, I think it is.
Granted.
So we arrive at school at 9, and one of the things I love to do at Grasmere School is PE and literacy, and we do lots of trips and go outside a lot.
Seeing people put so much effort in, and the teachers too, like they put so much work into our lessons to teach us. I really appreciate it.
At Grasmere School we have all sorts of things to help us learn. We have rulers, graphite pencils.
We also use tablets to look things up, like we were doing this morning. We use them to look up animals and draw them to help us with our science.
We use boards, and I don't mean chalkboards like the Victorians. We use whiteboards with whiteboard pens and rubbers,
paper, of course. We have lots of different books for different topics. Well, not really topics, subjects. Yeah, so we're pretty organised, actually.
We learn in all sorts of places. We learn in a classroom. We also learn outside and learn in trips. So we go to castles or primary source sites.
One of my favourites was when we went to Hadrian's Wall and we had a look at all the sites on the wall.
I learnt so much on a trip that only lasted 2 days.
And we had very nice breakfast there and we all had hot chocolates and I stayed with my besties.
And it's just such a beautiful place to be able to learn, and we have a beck right next to us which we get to play in the summer.
We made chutney from onions and the berries, and then we made apple crumble, which was really fun, and we chopped up all the apples and we chopped up the beetroots and all our hands were really red. Also, I kind of peeled my finger, and it was on my birthday, so that's kind of why you don't trust a peeler with apples.
Our school is so small that we don't have a kitchen, so we walk down to the inn in our village and we have lunch there. We do walk along a main road, but we have little partners, or if you're a little partner, you have a big partner.
And it's just so nice being able to bond with a younger child, and they are so sweet. When I was in reception, I had an older partner for walk into church. It's like repaying a favour of what the year sixes when I was in reception did for me.
In the brass band I play a tenor horn, and the reason I really like the brass band is because you can interact with people you might not normally interact with, and you just can express yourself in all different ways, and you have to listen to each other, and it can teach you something that you can use in real life.
Matilda was our last production that we did this summer, and we do lots and lots of practice for it. There's lots of characters and lots of people that would suit really good parts. It feels like you've just done something absolutely massive, and then after you've kind of done it, it's kind of done. Your nerves have kind of gone away, and that you know that it's not like you have to do it again, and all your nerves kind of float away, and then you just end up with a massive grin on your face.
Nowadays, education is paid for by the government, but benefactors still have a huge part to play. In 2000, the Kelsick Foundation supported the building of cloakrooms and office. And this year, the school has been given a new flagpole.
At the moment, the school is trying to raise funds from benefactors for a new eco-classroom so that the original schoolroom can be converted into a hall and kitchen.
Right then, time flies. It's nearly time for me to return to the lantern. Your last wish, what is it? Chop chop?
Well, I wish I could see into the future. You know, look at Grasmere School in, say, another 400 years' time. What will it be like?
Well, that's easier said than done. You do know that 400 years is a very long time away. All I can say is, I'll do my best. Let's see into the future. Wish 3 is granted.
So, I don't know what 400 years' time will be like. But I hope the wonder's still there. I hope the curiosity is still there. I hope the loving relationship between the adult and the child, saying, look at that snowflake, and working out what they know already and what you can just help them to know a little bit more about next. Because that's what it's all about at primary. Where are you at? What can I do? What can I say? What can I show you to lead you on into that next bit of wonder and curiosity, learning?